Hello, hello. Good Sunday to all Status Coupers. I am live. Let's see. Let me click on YouTube. So I have both screens up. I am live, special on Sunday, hopefully to empty your pockets. Is my audio still working? All right. So I am live today to try and fundraise and talk to the masses. So I'm going to wait till a couple people trickle in. Let me share on X or Twitter. So more people know I'm live. Colin, send the Substack out whenever. I added some things to that too. I am going to be taking your calls. Obviously, a lot going on in the news with the attack on Israel by Iran, which I have thoughts on. There's also some interesting numbers in the New York Times poll on the 2024 election. And I'm sure we could talk about much more. I thought it would be cool to come. Well, not cool because I'd rather be relaxing, but I thought it'd be interesting and helpful to go live on Sunday because when we do our call-in, which we've been doing most Mondays, people are at work, people are still getting off of work. Not as many people could call in, but hopefully more people could call in on a weekend so I could talk to you. Also, I wanted to go live today because frankly, we got to raise some dough. We got to raise some money here. As I've explained, we are, still trucking along, but we are independent. We are scrappy. We are not funded by the corporations. And recent reporting over the last few months, including trips to East Palestine, Flint, many protests on the ground covering the ceasefire protests, which we've covered 40. Also a trip to West Virginia. Also a documentary we're producing, which I will have the trailer of that documentary to show you today. It's cost us a lot of money. We also had some unexpected costs come up. So we need to fundraise. So we're kind of the number to call us. I'm not yet at the part where we're going to take calls. That'll be in a few minutes. But we want to raise money through straight statuscoup.com/donate, which is on the top of the screen. That is straight to our website. We get pretty much most of it. And I would ask you to donate there rather than super chat because YouTube takes about 30% of your super chats. And I will plug you and give you a shout out as you donate. When you donate, you can leave a comment too. So I'll read that as well. Also, we want to grow our membership. So that's statuscoup.com/join. For you OG Status Coupers, if you remember back in the day when we started Status Coup, probably for a year or so, I would go live pretty much every Sunday and we would do marathon live streams. I think I started at noon, sometimes to like 5 o'clock. So those were fun days, long days, but we would raise, some cases we'd raise thousands of dollars in donations. Back then we were doing GoFundMe. Now I have a child, so I can't be live, noon to 5 on Sundays, but I'm going to be going live here and there on Sunday to try and raise money because we basically need to do things the harder way without taking money from corporations, without taking money from the wealthy plutocrats funding the Democratic and Republican Party, without having a fat cat investor. We choose to do things the hard way, which is also, I think, the right way, which is to ask our viewers to fund us. So if you want us to be able to continue doing on-the-ground reporting, if you want us to be able to continue doing investigative reporting, if you want to help fund future documentaries, like I said, we'll be releasing the Flint 10-year anniversary documentary later this month. And I have the trailer. It's kind of a draft trailer. It's not the final one, but I wanted to show you something today. So we have a trailer for that documentary. So please, donate any amount. I know, our viewers are not exactly rich, but we really appreciate any amount. Obviously, for those that, have a little bit more financial flexibility and are doing a little bit better, please, we appreciate all donations, but sometimes when people come through with the large ones, we've had people donate $1,000. We've had people donate $500. We've had people donate 100, 200. Every dollar counts, especially those larger ones, if you can. If you can't, even $5-10 means a lot. So again, it's right up there on the screen, and I will plug you as we go. Let me read from this New York Times. We're going to get to the Iran-Israel situation, but I wanted to read this because I think it's pretty bad for Joe Biden, and I also think, particularly on one thing that voters were asked, it's particularly bad and might hurt the Democratic Party's main strategy, which is to run completely on abortion. And Trump and the Republicans trying to overturn, the fact that they overturned Roe v. Wade and might want to do a national ban. This is from the New York Times. 4 years out, some voters look back at Trump's presidency more positively. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is a new poll by the New York Times and Siena College. New York Times polling is usually pretty accurate. A couple months ago, if you remember, the Democratic Party, MSNBC, CNN, they all freaked out because a poll showed in about 6 out of the 7 swing states, Biden was down, in some of them significantly. Views of Trump's presidency have become more positive since he left office, bolstering his case for election and posing a risk to President Biden's strategy of casting his opponent as unfit for the presidency, according to a new poll by the Times and Siena College. While the memories of Mr. Trump's tumultuous and chaotic administration have not significantly faded, many voters now have a rosier picture of his handling of the economy, immigration, and maintaining law and order. Ahead of the 2020 election, only 39% of voters said the country was better off after Trump took office. Now, looking back, nearly half say he improved things during his time as president. That's how you know Biden is in the shitter, because people, it's like you're, how you have an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, and there's a reason you broke up, but you're a little lonely. You haven't met anyone else, so you kind of reflect back and you only focus on the good parts. Even though there weren't that many good parts, your brain could only focus on the good things, and you kind of psych yourself out and say, well, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Or maybe if I just did this thing different, it would have worked out. Or maybe I should try to get back together and promise to not do this. You only focus on the good things because it's not really that you're missing him or her. You're just missing connection. Or in this case, I don't think the economy was so swell under Trump, but there wasn't this mass inflation, which, to be fair, is not completely Biden's fault. Inflation is a global thing, but he certainly hasn't done things he could have done to improve it. So that's kind of what I measure this as. The poll's findings underscore the way in which a segment of voters have changed their minds about the Trump era, recalling those years as a time of economic prosperity and strong national security. The shift in views about his administration come even as Mr. Trump faces dozens of felony accounts and will appear in a New York courtroom on Monday for jury selection in one of his 4 criminal trials. So this is a chart here, how respondents' view of Trump's have changed. So approval of his handling of the economy, he's up 10 points compared to voters right before the 2016 election. And now 10 points on his handling of the economy. Think he left the country better off. He's up 9 points. This was not a poll just for Republican voters. This was all voters. Approval of his handling and maintaining of law and order, +8. Approval of his handling of unifying America, +4. Approval of his handling of COVID, +3. Approval of his handling of the Supreme Court, +1. Think electing him is a safe choice, +11. Well, considering he said, I want to be a dictator on day one, that's pretty crazy. Think he respects women. Unsurprisingly, that's a -4. Many voters remember Mr. Trump as a divisive and polarizing figure, giving him low ratings on race relations and unifying the country. Yet a larger share of voters see Trump's term as better for the country than the current administration, with 42% rating the Trump presidency as mostly good for the country, compared with 25% who say the same about Biden. So here, 42% think Trump a Trump presidency is mostly good for the country, compared with 25% who say the same about Biden. And by the way, this poll was all cell phones, which means to me it wasn't just kind of older folks with landline phones. No disrespect to older folks. I want to get to this part. Do you generally remember the years this candidate was president? Is mostly good for America, mostly bad, or not really good? So this is what they were just talking about. Mostly good, 42% for Trump, 25% for Biden. Mostly bad, 46% for Biden, 33% for Trump. But to me, the part that really I think should have the Democratic Party freaking in its boots, and Colin, I'd love to know your thoughts. And while the issue of abortion rights has been front and center in the general election campaign, less than 2% of voters mentioned abortion or Mr. Trump's role in the Supreme Court's repeal of Roe v. Wade as the main thing that they remember from his presidency. Let me repeat. And while the issue of abortion rights has been front and center in the general election campaign, less than 2% of voters mentioned abortion or Mr. Trump's role in the Supreme Court's repeal of Roe v. Wade as the main thing they remember from his presidency. Well, I don't know about you, but have you been noticing fundraising emails up the wazoo from the Democratic Party on abortion and Trump's role in it? Have you been noticing fundraising emails and the media focusing on the Arizona decision to bring us back to literally the 1800s? Have you been noticing the reports from the New York Times, Washington Post, and elsewhere that Democrats are going to run all in on abortion? And in this poll, and it's one poll, but it is over 1,000 voters, and it was Democrats, Republicans, Independents, less than 2%. It doesn't mean less than 2% care about abortion. It just means less than 2% of voters mentioned Trump's role in the Supreme Court's repeal of Roe v. Wade as the main thing they remember. Colin, I don't know if you're good at math, but if less than 2% cited abortion basically as like a big thing to them with Trump, doesn't that mean that Democrats probably won't have the same success as they did in the 2022 midterms running on abortion? Because in 2022 midterms, it was right after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. Now we're talking, 2 years later.
Yeah, and that was a fever pitch in that specific moment that still, I feel like, didn't do the results the Democrats wanted. So now we're some time away from it, and now people have, I think, in the interim gotten the information of like, yeah, Trump did that, but it also was Biden's fault as well. So they're sort of like stuck between two places. So I think the abortion issue, while it might help in some specific areas, it's going to help in most of the areas like California and stuff. That doesn't matter, I think, even if it did matter.
Well, I also think less than 2%. I mean, yes, one poll, but 1,000 people. The bottom line is, for better or worse, it now, and I think it's worse, it now is on this. It is up to the states. And Trump has said, leave it to the states. So what are you going to really do in terms of making Trump a boogeyman if it's now a state-based issue? All you could really do is run against specific governors of states, specific congressmen or senators of states that are calling for more severe or better laws. You can't really say, if you elect Trump, he's lying to you. He's going to do a national abortion ban. I think he is lying, but I mean, what can you do if he's already on the record saying, I want to leave it up to the states? And the other thing is, and I think we talked about this the other day, Biden's not actually saying how he would restore Roe v. Wade. He's just saying, elect me, elect Democrats, we'll codify Roe. How? You're going to need a filibuster-proof Senate. You're going to need at least 60 senators. Democrats are going to need 60 senators. I don't think they're going to have 60 senators. Biden said he won't get rid of the filibuster. So how are you going to do it? He's not going to do an executive action. I think that would be ruled unconstitutional anyway. So basically, he's just running that Trump's the reason for this, but he's not offering a solution.
Yeah, and like you said, Trump already went and said, I'm not going to sign a national abortion ban, which is the entire Democratic platform for fundraising. And you can't just spit out like, Trump's going to, it's all the individual governors now, but still vote against Trump. So that's like you said, whether or not he actually adheres to that when he's president is different. But in the campaign trail with that and things like Gaza, where Trump has technically stayed out verbally from it, and for which has worked out really well. If you saw just a recent rally, people started chanting "Genocide Joe," and Trump responded, "Yeah, that's kind of accurate, isn't it?" Like,
Right.
Trump doesn't even really have to do anything at this point other than just let Biden play out.
Right. So before Colin, come back. Before we take calls, important question. Colin, why are we live on a Sunday? And why is it so important for the nearly 200 people watching on YouTube and however many are on Twitter to consider donating, even if it's $5 today? Obviously, you could do more than that. Speaking of, thank you, Yuki. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correct. Just donated $100 to get us started for the day. Thank you, Yuki. Why are we live on Sunday? And why is it very important? If you can't, you can't. We understand. But if you can, why do we need donations? Why do we need you to sign up as a Status Coup member? And we also, I should say, have quite a lot coming up, including a documentary, which is costing us a pretty penny. I'm going back to Flint. I might be going to East Palestine, among other things. Why should people donate?
Well, literally just what you said. Just think, just do Google search and see who has done continued coverage on East Palestine, who has done any coverage just period on Flint. It's not like, oh, I'm paying them money so that they can do a talking head show and tell me news I could just Google anyways. We're actually breaking and creating news, which is something hardly any, if a very small percent, I can't even think of the top of my head, of YouTubers or other news outlets even do anymore. So just that alone, and we don't just go and break stories, but also by just going on the computer and doing research, we actually go to the places, show you what's happening. So you're not just taking our word for it, or taking a resident's word. You could see on camera in West Virginia, the poisoned water. You can see on camera in East Palestine, the water. You can't necessarily get the smells, but you know, you've got, it's probably best that you don't get the smells. And
Yes.
Flint, obviously, like, it's just different seeing it visually as well as breaking the stories, because you won't break those stories unless you're on the ground, like Jordan's talked about with his book. You'll see 90, I would, if I had to guess, probably 90% of that we wouldn't know unless we were on the ground. It would just be like, yeah, we'd be covering the Flint water crisis, but we wouldn't be breaking all the corruption and stuff that's happening. To basically, we were the first ones to show you guys the game plan that they're going to be using going forward, that they've now used in East Palestine, they're going to use in West Virginia, was all created in Flint, and we exposed that. And that's, in my opinion, priceless, but obviously it costs money. So yeah.
And by the way, we are going to show you the trailer for the documentary in a little bit. It's not the final trailer. Ty is making some tweaks, but I wanted to show you something. So we have a trailer featuring a lot of the some of the footage and some of the interviews I did in my most recent trip to Flint. We're finalizing the name of the documentary. The documentary, I believe, is going to be released on the day of the 10-year anniversary, which is Thursday, April 25th. So that's in about a week and a half, maybe. So I'll be going back to Flint for the 10-year anniversary. That costs money. Myself and a cameraman. I'm going to try to go to East Palestine also. That'll be my first trip to East Palestine, but Status Coup's sixth, because Louis DeAngelis has been there 5 times. Maybe another spot, maybe another city on that specific road trip. It all costs money. On the last trip between Flint and West Virginia, we spent $7,000 just on the trip, plus paying Ty to make this documentary. And you could ask Ty, I'm up his ass to finish this quickly, because normally to do a real documentary, you need 6 months to a year. I asked him to do it in a month, basically. And he's amazing, and he's going to make an amazing documentary. And I'm excited to release that trailer in a little bit before we wrap. The last thing I'll say before I take calls, if you say to me, Jordan, if you say to me, Jordan, what do you want? Do you want a donation, or do you want me to sign up as a Status Coup member? Which we should have put that on the screen too, but that doesn't matter. Sign up as a member, statuscoup.com/join. That is basically a monthly $5 to $10 donation. But that's how we grow for the long term. We need more members. I know, everyone's working hard and everybody's tight. Some people are on a budget to the point that they don't have another $5 to $10 a month. If you don't have the money to support us, that's fine. Just share, like. If you do have $5 to $10 a month, like Colin said, I'll go even further. There is no other outlet, corporate or independent, that does the amount of on-the-ground investigative reporting we do. I got 2 back surgeries to prove it, and knock on wood, hopefully preventing a third. I'm in physical therapy now. But please, please, if you say, Jordan, what do you want? You want a donation or sign up as a member? Sign up as a member. If you're already a member, of course, if you can donate, please do. All right. Before I go to calls, I want to say my thoughts on the whole Iran attack on Israel. Basically, I guess close to a day ago, Iran released 300 cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones at Israel. Israel, with the help of the U.S. and the Iron Dome system that we pay for, basically intercepted 99% of those. It kind of came off to me like this was, I don't want to say complete theater, because obviously, I mean, they are lobbing missiles and drones and, it could inflict damage, but it was almost theater in terms of, I mean, there was like so much advance notice that Israel got. It was like, oh, it was announced and the news reports came out like 6 or 7 hours before they even reached. So it kind of came off like a little bit of theater, like Israel attacked Iran's consulate in Damascus in Syria. They killed a major general, a major Iranian general, basically the replacement for Soleimani, who Trump assassinated when he was president. They killed a few others. And so basically Iran had to respond, but Iran didn't want to respond in a way that would bring the U.S. into it. I think Netanyahu is going to respond, not because of security for Israel, but it's within Bibi Netanyahu's political interest and political motivation to create a wider war so he could stay in power. Because whenever Bibi Netanyahu is out of power, he's got legal problems to consider. So, yeah, that's basically what I think. Doesn't really change anything. We need a ceasefire. We needed it pretty much months ago. And at this point, I don't even know if more than 20 hostages are alive. And I also don't know for the hostages that were killed, I don't know how many of them were actually killed by Israel and Israel's nuking of Gaza that might have killed hostages. So those are my thoughts on that. With that said, let's start taking calls. I will read your donations as they come. So please, please, please keep donating. Any amount makes a difference. And I'll read those as we go. Let me start the call-in show. Oh, session has ended. Now I got to do it all over again. Hold on. Ready. All right. You got it, Colin?
Yeah, should be good to go.
All right. So the number is on the screen. Keep those donations coming. I'll read them as we go. It's Sunday. Please let's not pick fights here. Hopefully, you might disagree on some things, but let's keep it charitable and kind. So definitely dial in, open to talking about plenty of stuff. It could be Israel, Iran. It could be the 2024 election. It could be, pretty much anything. So definitely let me know what you want to talk about. Let me see if I missed anything before I take a call. All right. Anas donated $5. Thank you, Anas. And you are up. Hey there.
And also new member Charles just signed up.
Hey, thank you for signing up, Charles, as a new Status Coup member. Thank you. Hey, how you doing, Anas?
I'm doing good. So I'm calling in because I am from Palestine myself, and
Okay.
I have family there who have seen the damage of the Iranian missiles that have hit Israel. And I would like to say on camera, Israel deserves it. They have killed my people for 75 years. We have seen genocide on display, and the world has done nothing. Even the Muslim countries, I'm talking about Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they are doing nothing. And in my opinion, the United States government should put pressure on Egypt, because Egypt, they are our slaves. With all the respect, I'm talking about their government. Because why do we give them aid? For what? To do what we want. They are protecting Israel. And the Palestinians have to pay the price. Before this war, sir, before the war started, there was something called the Abraham Accords and all these so-called peace agreements. They tried to go around my people, so my people would disappear from history. And the reason why October 7th happened, again, I want to be very clear, because in the United States, it's illegal to support Hamas because it's considered a terrorist organization. But what I'm saying is October 7th didn't happen with a vacuum. Were there war crimes? Possibly. There should be an investigation on both sides to see who did what. But putting that aside, sir, you know, the United States government, our government, instead of spending money to improve our lives, to increase minimum wage, to basically, you know, improve our education, improve our infrastructure, better paying jobs, so on and so forth, we give money to genocide, to kill my people. Okay, sir, just yesterday, someone in my village got shot, and my father was hearing explosions. Settlers are attacking Palestinians. Keep in mind, there are Palestinians where I'm from with American citizenship, and they're getting shot at and killed. And the United States government is doing nothing about it. I don't know. Maybe I have to go to the White House and make it rain. I don't know. I think we should do legislation where we should install stripper poles in the Congress, because we have to make it straightforward. Like I told your journalist friend, John Farah, on camera when he went to Queens College. We should go in there and make it rain on these politicians. Make it rain on Chuck Schumer. Make it rain on Mitch McConnell. Make it rain on all the politicians. Make it straightforward. You all know what goes on behind the scenes. At least make it public to respect the American people, please. And I'm doing this with all due respect. I'm against Saudi lobbying. I'm against Israeli lobbying. I'm against Egyptian lobbying. I'm against all lobbying and all aid. We should send the American people aid. We should not send Israel aid. America first, not Israel first, as I told Fox News one time. So let me be very.
And are you from Gaza?
I am from the West Bank, sir, and in the West Bank, we are dealing with massacres. So over 400 to 500 people died since October 7th, sir, in the West Bank. It's very bad. Now, my question to the Israelis, Hamas is not in the West Bank. Did Hamas teleport? Maybe they teleported. I don't know. They have teleporting powers, maybe. Why are people in the West Bank getting killed? Why is my family members getting killed? Why are my family members getting arrested? The solution is not just a ceasefire, sir. We need to lift the blockade off Gaza. All the borders have to be open. We need a two-state solution. Palestinians need to be given a chance to choose our leaders again, to have elections, something the United States and Israel does not want, our government does not want. And we need to basically just get the hell out of the Middle East. It's time to spend money back home in the United States. We are on the verge of World War III. We are literally playing chicken. If I was the president, sir, I would tell Netanyahu, with all due respect, you are my, I'm not going to say because I don't want your channel to go down, you are my freaking child, you are my son, I give you money, you're going to stop this. But unfortunately, Congress controls, sorry, not Congress, Israel, literally, not figuratively, literally, through money, because our Congress is for sale. The Congress is the biggest whore in the whole universe.
I agree.
Okay, no respect for themselves. Okay, they are the biggest sex workers in the world. No disrespect to sex workers, but I disrespect to them because they are merchants of war. They are merchants of death. Are they willing to send their sons and daughters? I want to ask the American people a question. If this goes real, because this is on the road of going bad. People used to say, "Oh, Iran is not going to respond. Iran is not going to." They responded. What's going to happen when a few months down the line, America's like, "Well, guys, Israel's under attack. We're going to draft y'all. What are you going to do? Why should we put our sons and daughters in danger for Israel? Israel has done nothing for this country, okay? And what I'm saying is we need to, in this election, right? I'm going to be honest with you, sir. And I'm a very mixed person. I'm not Democrat or Republican. But next election, as a Muslim, as a Palestinian, because I was disrespected by Joe Biden, otherwise known as Joe the Hole, who knows nothing from his head to his toe, not a word before, and dick so slow, and so ugly for my butthole. I'm going to vote for Trump, not because I love Trump. I want people to listen, please. I want the Democrats here to listen. It's not because I love Trump. It's because I am so angry about what the Democrats did. Under Joe Biden's presidency, this is fact. 40,000 Palestinians killed, decimated. whole family destroyed. Under Trump, he moved the embassy. You know what? At least Trump is straightforward. I told you, you're journalist. Trump will stab you from the front, not from the back. The Democrats have backstabbed Muslims, backstabbed every race, and they feel entitled to my vote. Hell no, I'm not giving them my vote this time. I want to teach them a lesson. All the Muslims in Michigan, and don't be surprised if Muslims vote for Trump, because we are angry, we are pissed. We do not care what happens after we vote for Trump. Biden has screwed up. And what I'm saying to the Democrats, choose someone else. Do not choose this war merchant, this terrorist. Yes, Joe Biden is a terrorist. Okay. We need to choose someone who will put America first. America first isn't racist in my opinion. What do I mean by America first? I mean America first for everybody, for the Arab American, for the Black American, for the white American, for the poor American, the workers of America. I'm not talking about the elitists. Listen to me. American people first, not corporations. I want the American people first. As I'm saying this as an American citizen, because inflation is out of control, sir. Sir, do you know if you go to Israel, how do you think they have free healthcare? How do you think they're living life? And if you go to other countries, they're living life because we give them the money. Our tax dollars goes there. Did anyone ask me or ask any American where they want the money to go? No. But here's the issue: we have to wake up. We have to put Israel in its place. Because guess what? If we let Israel do what it wants, it will drag us into World War III. Because let me tell you something, sir. Israel is not ready for a three-front war. Okay, it's enough we're dealing with Russia and Ukraine. Okay, and as a Palestinian, I lost a lot of family members, sir. I lived during the second Intifada. My family brought me here, but I was born in the U.S., but I lived in Palestine for a year or 2 years, and I saw Israelis killing my people. There was tanks in front of my uncle's house. Okay, sir. So this didn't start with Hamas, nor will it end with Hamas. This started with occupation. If you want to end Hamas, it's very simple. Treat the Palestinians like human beings. Lift the blockade of Gaza. Let us have a two-state solution. We're not asking for the destruction of Israel. But Israel, what they have done, sir, and I'm saying this with all due respect, they have made and pushed the Palestinians to love Hamas even more and to be even part of Hamas. Hamas doesn't have to run any recruitment, propaganda, or any advertisements for the next decade. The only thing they have to do is show the people videos. Look at what happened to your father. Look what happened to your mother. Look what happened to your brother. Look what happened to your sister. Look what happened. Look what the Israelis did to your family. I'm gonna guarantee you something, sir. Right now, Hamas right now is 50,000 troops, 40,000. It's gonna skyrocket, and Israel is in danger because of Netanyahu. Netanyahu, just so you know, who's killing the hostages? It's not Hamas, sir. Hamas needs them alive to do a prisoner exchange. And Israel does not want that. They're using something called the Hannibal Directive. Why? Because if they do a prisoner exchange, it's going to hurt Netanyahu's ego. So a lot of hostages are being killed. I'm not here to defend Hamas. What I'm saying is very simple. The United States has to pressure Israel into a ceasefire that's permanent, that will treat the Palestinians like human beings. Because this happened. Why did October 7th happen, sir? Because the Palestinians refused to be in a cage. We refuse to be in an open air prison. They count the calories that comes in the Gaza Strip. The Gaza Strip is literally a ghetto. And I have a question for all the people here, the racists. In general, I'm speaking. I'm not saying you, sir, but in general, I'm speaking in general because I know I'm talking for a long time, but I have to let this out. I have to let this out, sir, because what I saw, sir, okay, what I saw is I feel like I'm seeing. I used to ask myself, how did the Holocaust happen, sir? I used to ask myself. Now I know. Now I know why the Holocaust happened. Because people don't have the balls. People don't have the balls to condemn genocide, sir. Sir, do you know my great aunt was shot? Do you know I have family members who were attacked? I know people who were sexually harassed. My grandmother, when she goes through a checkpoint, 80 years old. And I remember this, like what happened yesterday. 80 years old. They said, ma'am, we suspect. Imagine an 80-year-old grandmother, older than Israel. They said, ma'am, we suspect that you are a suicide bomber. We have to take you to a room and strip you naked. Imagine an 80-year-old grandmother. And then they say Israel is the most moral army in the world. They are the most terroristic, the most animalistic army I've seen in my life, sir. Okay, sir? And I'm saying this with all due respect. The only way to solve this issue is the two-state solution. This started with the Nakba. This started with occupation. This started with destruction. Okay? I want people to understand this. If you call the Palestinians terrorists for resisting, I have counter to that. Are our founding fathers terrorists for resisting British occupation and tyranny? Are the Algerians terrorists for fighting the French? Are the Libyans terrorists for fighting the Italians? Are the Jews who rose up against the Nazis in the Warsaw Ghetto, are they terrorists? or the French who fought against the Nazis. So what I'm saying, sir, is very simple. It's not enough just to stand up. We have to put pressure. This election is about breaking. It's either putting America first and putting morality first, or business as usual. Sir, I cannot do it as a Palestinian. I've been living in this country, sir, for 25 years, sir. I was born in this country. I'm as American as it gets. But the Democrat Party only see us that they are entitled to our vote. Republicans, I know how they are. We know how they are. Republicans, they're straightforward. We know how Trump is, all that stuff. I'm not 100% for Trump. But what pisses me off more than a open racist is a closet racist. And Joe Biden, I don't care what anyone says, he's a closet racist. He backstabbed every community I could think of, the African American community, the Hispanic community, and now the Muslim community, sir. And let me tell you something, and I want people to forgive me. If Trump wins the next election because of us, I'm talking about the politicians, not the people. The politicians need to shut the fuck up. They need to shut the fuck up because they could have stopped this genocide. We're telling them, we're begging them to stop the genocide. They're not listening. They're not listening. They think that when November comes, we're going to forget. We Palestinians and Muslims and Arabs don't forget. So I want the people to know right now, if Trump wins the next election, don't come crying to us. Don't come crying to the Muslim community because we are screaming right now. We are yelling. And with all due respect, stop the genocide. And we don't want to vote for somebody who doesn't see my people, who doesn't see my cousins, who doesn't see my family members, my uncles, my aunts as human beings because they don't have an American passport. Hell, you know how many Palestinians with American passports got killed, sir? Where are we on Shireen Abu Akleh on her killer? Right. Did the American government do anything? Did they arrest the killers? No. I have a question. If this happened in a Muslim country, if a white American or a Jewish American was killed in Syria or in Jordan or in Iraq or in Iran or in Pakistan or in Afghanistan or in Turkey, we would act different. We would go and destroy these nations. Hell, when 9/11 happened, we went into Afghanistan and Iraq and killed many Muslims. But because Israel did it, it's okay, sir. And I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart, sir. I respect your show. I respect everybody. But I want the people to understand right now. If you want the Democrats to win the next election, you have to corner your politicians to stop this genocide. You still have time until November. And I'm telling you guys right now, if this genocide does not stop, if the killing does not stop, if we don't get a two-state solution, I shamelessly will vote for Trump. Shamelessly, I don't care. I don't care because Trump, I know who he is. The Democrats have offered us nothing, sir. Sir, inflation is out of control. I know a lot of people got evicted from their houses. And meanwhile, we have money to kill innocent people. Shame on us as the American people that we allow this man to stay in power. We're not doing enough. They're not taking us seriously, sir. And the Congress, we have Congress people who say we have to turn Gaza into a parking lot and evict all the Palestinians from the West Bank, and they're using religion as a weapon, sir. We have religious terrorists in Congress, just like ISIS is a terrorist. We have there are some people in the Republican Party who are terrorists, who are bloodthirsty, and who want to take us to World War III. And I have one last thing to say before I let you go, sir. And if you guys are quiet about the Palestinian genocide, okay, and about what's going on in the Middle East, and then the situation gets out of control, and then over a sudden we're going to be drafted, don't be complaining because we could have stopped this. We need to stop it right now. Okay, there's reasons why World War I and World War II happened because people didn't do anything. No one held the politicians accountable to stop it from happening. We can do it. We have the internet. We have all these things that we could do. We could pressure our politicians and run against them. Okay, and I have, in conclusion, I have a podcast called Clash and Mash podcast on YouTube. I talk about what's going on in Palestine all the time. And I'm a peaceful, loving American. I have no problem with the Jewish people or Jews in general. I have a problem with the Zionist Nazis who came to my country and stole our land and evicted us from our land and took away our country and are building settlements. Sir, did you know, sir, my great-grandfather, he died out of anger because the Israelis stole our land and they built settlements on top of it. And to this day that we did not get our land back since 1967. So the solution is very clear. But it takes will, it takes power, it takes guts to put Israel in their place. And let me tell you something, sir. I'm not gonna stop fighting for my people, even if it means voting for Donald Trump. I can't believe we're at this point. We're at a point where the Democrats, who claim that they're the party of the people, the party of the working class, the party of human rights. Look what happened. Israel has made the West look like a joke. The Geneva Convention is a joke. When it comes to Russia bombing Ukraine and doing crimes in Ukraine, because it's white people dying, no problem. We hold Russia accountable. But when it comes to Israel, no problem, because Israel, they have our Congress by the balls. They have our media by the balls. They have Joe Biden by the balls. And I am warning all Democrats, talking about the politicians specifically, if you do not change, I will not stop. I will not change my mind. I'm going to vote for Donald Trump just to piss off Joe Biden, just to send a message. And all Muslims feel like this. We will vote for Trump just to piss off Joe Biden, to send a message that you think our lives is cheap. Well, we're going to destroy your career, because that's what matters to these politicians. Their career, their so-called legacy, their bank accounts. The American people need to start standing up. We need to go back to protesting in the streets. We need to start going on strikes again. The people of this country are living like it's a third world country. I'm ashamed, sir. I'm ashamed that we have homeless people, that they can't eat, sir. We're in America, the richest country in the world. And I work, sir. Currently, I'm working 2 jobs. In my dad and my uncle's generation, when they came in the 90s, 1 job was enough. Now we're working 2 jobs. Why? Because we're sending our money to Israel, because of inflation, because of greed, and because of selfishness. And I want this to end. I want everyone to live in peace. I want there to be peace in the Middle East. But we have an Arabic saying, sir, Islam, peace, not surrender. I want a just peace. And that's what we need, sir. That's what we need. Okay? And in order to get that, sir, we have to hold Israel accountable. If America does not hold Israel accountable, the Muslim world and BRICS will hold Israel accountable. It's going to get ugly, sir. Trust me. I've been in the Middle East, sir, and the people in the Middle East are angry, sir. We're talking about Arab Spring angry, like they're ready to overthrow their government, like in Jordan, for example. Look what's going on in Jordan. Jordan is protecting Israel, and the people are already pissed. They're in the streets. Yep. So what I'm asking for you guys is the following. What I'm asking from the American people in general is the following. Stop Israel before it's too late. Just like we could have stopped Nazi Germany before it was too late, but no one gave a damn. And let me put history in perspective. We took in the Jews. It was the Muslim countries like Morocco, Albania, and Palestine that took in the Jews during the Holocaust. So before people start calling me anti-Semitic, read the history book. Who took in the Jews during the Holocaust? And my ancestors were Semitic, okay? So I am not against the Jewish people. I am against the Israeli government, okay? And I'm letting the Democrats know, and I'm putting Kamala Harris on notice and Joe DeHo on notice. Now, guess what? And all the Democrat politicians, if you do not stop the genocide, my ballot will go to Trump, and we will destroy your career. And I want the Democrats to know this. And we will not care if you call us racist, you call us xenophobic, because we know what we are. We are the Muslim community. We know what we are. It is Joe Biden who's racist. You are not entitled to my vote. You must earn my vote. This goes for all issues. In conclusion, I'm sorry it took a long time, sir. I've been going out.
Can I ask you real quick? Because obviously this is affecting you. Have you lost family members since October the 7th?
Since October 7th, sir. I had family members who went to prison. I have family members who were harassed. I know people who lost their jobs in the U.S., sir. Okay. I have a family member whose hijab was torn by an NYPD police officer, and she sued them, and they won $17 million. Thank God there's still justice in this country. Wow. But in the United States and in Palestine, we've been affected hard, sir. Sir, I've been banned from my college campus just because I confronted an Israeli war criminal. Okay, in America, freedom of speech is being challenged. I was doxxed, sir. People knew where I live, and they threatened to come to the house. Okay, sir. And I have a message to these Israelis who threaten me. Come to my house, I will teabag you and fuck you up, according to the law, wherever is legal. So, sir, these people have to be held accountable, sir. This is affecting our country. What kind of country do we want to live in? Do we want to live in a country where we shut up about war crimes? Where we shut up? Where freedom of speech is not valued? Because let me tell you something, sir. It's ironic. We say that we are for freedom, but when Muslims go protest in the streets of New York or in the streets of California or in the streets of Florida or Michigan or any state, we are put under different standards. People are getting arrested. People are getting spied on. The FBI, I don't know if you know, there was a video in Oklahoma. The FBI showed up to someone's house, a Muslim woman's house, because of what she posted about Palestine. I mean, are we in a South Park episode, sir? Please wake me up. If I'm in a South Park episode, please wake me up. Are we in South Park? This is ridiculous. And I'm angry, sir. I'm angry. We Muslims have been in this country for decades. We respect. We are law-abiding citizens. We are law-abiding citizens. We do not abuse anyone in this country. We follow the law. Why are we being targeted? Why is our freedom cheaper than the freedom of the white American or the Jewish American? We are equal. In this country, in the Constitution, it says all man is created equal. So where is the implementation of that? Where is the implementation of that? And the Democrat politicians, what baffles me is they say, they hype you up, they give you all these slogans, but when it's time, and this includes Bernie Sanders, he disappointed me, Bernie Sanders, and all these other politicians who are on the left, what people call the far left, especially AOC and others, because they haven't done enough. We need to go on the offensive. Me, I am not Republican or Democrat. When Trump does a good job, or when other politicians do a good job, I give them credit where credit is due. With all due respect, and I'm saying this with respect to you, to your show, and to your analysts and so on and so forth, to your reporters. But under Trump, we didn't have these much wars or these much problems. Were there problems? 100%. Against Muslims, is there Islamophobia? 100%. But under Trump's presidency, 40,000 Palestinians were not slaughtered. Okay? Under Trump's presidency, at least the Middle East, there was not that much issues when it came to the Arab-Israeli conflict. But now we have a president who he literally puts Israel first. He puts everybody before America first. And that's what pisses me off. And that's why people want to vote for Trump. Because Joe Biden destroyed this country. Inflation is out of control. We could talk about how we got to it, how it's not his fault. All the presidents are just printing money from thin air and there's no gold standard and so on and so forth. But we need to solve the problem now, sir. I'm 25 years old, sir. When my father was my age, he was married and he was able to pay rent by himself. He used to pay $800 a month here in New York City. Now, sir, you know how much one bedroom is in New York? One bedroom, $2,500. We are being gangbanged, sir, with all due respect. Like the taxpayer, the American citizen, I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, black, Muslim, white, alien, not alien, I don't care. Gay, straight, we're all being gangbanged. The government does not discriminate. The government is attacking everybody. Okay, this is a war on the American people. And we need to get rid of this occupation. Just like Palestine is under occupation, America is under occupation by the corporations, by AIPAC, by Saudi Arabia, by all these countries. And we need to save our country now. Because if we do not save it now, this is the most important election of our lifetime. I know it's a cliche, but I'm being serious. Because if we do not show our government or the two-party system that we're serious about change, they will laugh at us. They will keep doing what they're doing. And let me tell you something, sir. As a Muslim American, I want this country to succeed because I live here. Okay? My family ran away from Palestine to the United States because of occupation, because of oppression. There was no freedom. Here, there's freedom and prosperity, and I want to keep it like that. Okay, sir? And in conclusion, please subscribe to Clash and Nash podcast. Thank you for having me on, sir. I hope you guys come back, come interview the Muslim community in Astoria, Queens, in Bay Ridge, Queens, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, my bad, and all the Muslim community, and interview me as well, sir. And we can collaborate on this issue. Because I'm an expert on this issue. I have a degree in this issue, and I live this, sir. I've seen the apartheid. I have seen, when you look at the videos, sir, imagine, Candace Owens was affected by this issue. And I was shocked. She flipped because she saw the racism, that this is a genocide, that this is wrong. And we need to fight for freedom of speech. Google and Instagram, they're censoring Palestinians. And I hope you guys cover the story. And Google and Instagram needs to be sued for violating the First Amendment. And Facebook. People want to ban TikTok. And you have all these politicians saying TikTok steals our information. Do you know why they want to ban TikTok, sir? Because TikTok shows Israel's crime. We have Israeli soldiers showing their crimes. Just go on TikTok. If you want to see if you don't believe these people who are watching that this genocide is happening, go on TikTok. The Israelis post their own crimes. Can you imagine if TikTok was available in 1939 or 1941 or 1943? We would be seeing the Holocaust live. This is like seeing the Holocaust live, sir. I mean, at this point, I don't know what else to say. I've been going on and on. I have no more words to say anymore. I've said what I have to say. I hope you succeed. I hope we could collaborate. I hope you guys will cover the Muslim community. I'm saying this because I want America to succeed. I'm not pro-Trump or pro-Biden. I am pro-America. But
Right.
I'm telling you, if we do not correct ourselves, if the Democrats don't correct themselves, I'm sorry, sir. It's not. I'm not happy to say this because I know how Trump is. Okay, and I'm saying this because there's no other way. I'm sorry. For the Muslim community, so what's the difference between Trump and Biden, really? Can you please you sit down with a Muslim American and you say, okay, explain to me the difference between Joe Biden and Trump? You're not going to be able to. The only difference, Trump says the quiet part out loud, for example, in Syria for the oil, and Joe Biden just takes the word oil and puts the word democracy. That's it. That's it. And we're sick of it, and we want this to end. And don't be. And I'm warning people. If the Democrat Party does not change and Trump wins the election, I don't want mainstream media like CNN and NBC and ABC to come out and complain about the Muslim community of being triggered because you guys know why we're not going to vote for you. We are giving you the signs. If uncommitted didn't turn on the blinkers enough, I don't know what to tell you. And my message to Joe Biden and the Democrat Party: shame on you. The Republican Party, we know how they are. But if the Republicans win, it's going to be Joe Biden's fault. It's going to be Kamala Harris's fault. No one else's fault. And free Palestine from the river to the sea, and free the world from corruption and destruction. Free America from slavery, from wage slavery. And I hope everybody has a good day and everybody reaches their dreams and goals, sir. That's all I have to say. And I hope we could collaborate on the Clash and Mash podcast. And I could talk to you guys in detail about this conflict, sir, and about what Palestinians are going through. Because I don't think the American people understand still. We have some Americans who understand, but the American people down in the Midwest and in New York and in California, they're still not understanding. It's one of the areas. They're not understanding. I want the message to be crystal clear. And I would like to thank Status Coup for coming to Queens College. And I would like to thank Status Coup for defending our freedom. Because you guys, Mingo, sometimes I disagree with you guys. You guys have principles at least. The Democrat Party does not have principles, neither does the Republican Party. We need principled candidates in this election. So we still have a chance. You guys still have a chance as Democrats to basically change our mind. But if Joe Biden is still the nominee, I will vote for Trump proudly. And I will record myself doing it. Not because I like Trump, but because as a middle finger to Joe Biden. Seeing Joe Biden lose in 2024 will give me an erection, sir. Because that's what he cares about. I will destroy his dream of being this second-term president, and it will be his fault from his hands, and I want him to know that. Because our blood, the blood of Palestinians and the blood of any human being is worth more than Democrats winning the election or any person winning the election. And that's what I wanted to say. So I'm sorry if I went on for a long time. It had to be said. It had to be said. I'm sorry.
Shoot me an email, jordansheridan@statuscoup.com. So maybe we could set up an interview on camera.
Please, sir. And because I want the best candidate to win. It's not about Trump or Biden. I want the best candidate to win. I want it to be a fair election. But again, Palestinian lives matter. Just like Black lives matter, Palestinian lives matter also.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you for your call. I really appreciate
Sorry
it.
for taking. I will email you, sir. You'll hear from me soon. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks. So I wanted to let that gentleman, who is obviously very, very passionate, I wanted to just let him talk, because I think, although I don't agree with every single thing he said, and we don't have to agree on every single thing, I think what he's saying is what so many people, not just in America, but around the world, feel. That anger, that frustration, that feeling of just being fed up. You got to get it out. And I can't pretend to know what that feels like, because I'm not Palestinian and I'm not Arab, and I'm not Muslim. All I could do is just look from my vantage point, as I believe as a good person, and agree. But I wanted to sometimes just got to let people talk, because what they're saying is very authentic and real and raw. And I wrote down a few things that I wanted to say in response to him. And by the way, if you came to this late, we're coming live on Sundays in part to help raise money for Status Coup. So that's why we have the donate link up on the top right. Thank you to Yuki, donated $100. Anas donated $5. Alisa donated $10. So please, 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 it's really, really important that we raise money for our on-the-ground reporting, for the documentary that we're releasing at the end of this month, which I'm going to release. I'm going to show a trailer for the documentary before we end the live stream today. I'm going back to Flint at the end of this month, and I might be going to East Palestine too. It all costs money. And also, one thing I was going to respond to him, there is nobody that has covered the protests in America for a ceasefire more than Status Coup. John Farina, our cameraman, has covered 40 at this point, well over 40 protests in New York, in DC. He's covered them during the week. He's covered them on the weekends. He's covered them at night. He's covered them by day. He's covered them in the rain. There is no one that has covered these protests more than Status Coup. John Farina has been live at times for 4 or 5 hours, and trust us, we got the bill for it. Because, you know, we went over our data plan, because when you're broadcasting live, we're on a data plan. So it's not free to broadcast. It costs a lot of money just for us to pay for the live view. That's the broadcasting unit we pay, that the broadcasting unit we use. But if you've noticed, we have been well over 40 events, and that's a credit to John, who obviously I have to pay too, gladly. He's doing amazing work. One thing he mentioned was his cousin had her hijab ripped off at a protest. We just covered that the other day and got that footage of cops for no reason attacking and roughing up a Muslim woman, ripping her hijab off, and that is up on our channel. That's up on our channel and on Twitter. So please, please donate or sign up as a Status Coup member. That's statuscoup.com/join. I wanted to respond to a couple things he said, and then I'm going to take another caller. I've said this since the beginning. Ceasefire is not enough. That's just the urgent need now to stop the senseless killing. And like he said, this hasn't gotten a lot of coverage, but there's also been people getting killed, Palestinians getting killed in the West Bank. Not as many, obviously, as in Gaza, but there are people being killed in the West Bank. Beyond a ceasefire, it's very simple. And my family doesn't agree with me. My dad doesn't like that I feel this way. My mom doesn't like that I feel this way. My brothers don't like, well, my one brother, my other brother doesn't care. He's not into politics. But I love them, but we just disagree. We need to end the occupation. Full stop. Israel needs to pull out completely of Gaza. They need to pull out of the West Bank. Those settlements need to come down. The settlers need to be removed from the West Bank, from Gaza, from East Jerusalem. That is not their territory. It is not their property. They are occupying the land. Like this caller said, most Palestinians I speak to, they are not saying get rid of the Jews, death to Israel. Most Palestinians I speak to are fine with Jewish people and Jewish people having, a home, but not at the expense of their home, not at the oppression and kidnapping and rape and genocide of their people. So Israel needs to get the hell out of Gaza. Israel needs to get the hell out of the West Bank. Israel needs to get the hell out of East Jerusalem. That's number one. We also need a right of return for the 1948 refugees to a Palestinian country. Some people are for a two-state solution. Some people are for a one-state solution. To be honest with you, I don't have a firm preference for either. I just want the Palestinians to have their own land and their own self-determination and have equal rights to Jews, period. Whether that's in their own country or within one country next to the Jews. Remember, Jews and Arabs lived together peacefully for hundreds of years before 1948. So end the occupation, right of return. Thirdly, it's very clear that this is not just about responding to October 7th in terms of Israel. This is about, and Netanyahu has said this, and his other extremist right-wingers in his little parliament have said this. This is also about they want the land. They want to ethnically cleanse Arabs off as much land as humanly possible. And Netanyahu has said this in speeches. They want as much land from the Mediterranean to the Jordan, i.e. the river to the sea. that they get so mad when Palestinians chant. Extremist right-wingers like Ben Gavir and Benny Gantz, they have said, move them out of Gaza, we'll take Gaza. So to me, it's very clear what this is about. I'm not for what Hamas did, just like that gentleman said, he's not supporting Hamas. But, two wrongs don't make a right. The senseless killing of one set of innocents on October 7th does not justify the senseless killing times 100 of Palestinians. It does not. And to me, this is an ethnic cleansing campaign by a right-wing extremist. I believe the Dick Cheney of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. And to be clear, if you're following Israeli politics or just common sense, Benjamin Netanyahu, for his own political and legal survival, needs to stay in power for as long as possible. Well, how do you stay in power for as long as possible? It's a classic tale, wag the dog, war. He needs to stay in power for as long as possible because if he's out of power, he's facing criminal penalties in Israel for bribery and corruption. That's part of why he tried to weaken Israel's justice system and Israel's version of the Supreme Court and tried to take power away from them so that he could not be put behind bars. And he wants to stay in power and he wants to, finish the job, i.e. go into Rafah to keep this war going. Just like I believe he wants to respond and escalate with Iran. Remember, Iran just attacked Israel in response to Israel attacking an Iranian consulate in Syria. And by the way, I found something so unbelievable, and we didn't have time to get the clip. I'll have it tomorrow. On CNN this morning, Jake Tapper was doing an interview, and they said Iran violated international airspace. So they're saying Iran violated international airspace, Jordanian airspace, Saudi airspace, when it attacked Israel this weekend. Did Israel not, violate international airspace when it dropped missiles on a Iranian consulate in Syria? Did that not violate international airspace? Apparently, it's only violating international airspace if Iran shoots missiles or drones at Israel. But to CNN and, all the politicians that support Israel endlessly, no matter what, it's not violating anybody's international airspace if Israel attacks Iran. And sure, the devil's advocate can say, well, Israel had to attack Iran because Iran, through Hezbollah in Lebanon, has been shooting rockets at northern Israel. Okay, well, when does it end? When does it end? Do you know how many people are refugees from Palestine in Lebanon? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And thank you very much for the donation. We got a, $20 donation from Thomas. So $100 from Yuki, $5 from Anas, Elisa, $10, Thomas, $20. Please keep it coming. Keep it coming. We really need to raise more money. We really need to sign up more members. So that's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Another thing I wanted to mention, I'm a Jew, so if you want to call me anti-Semitic, you can, but I'm just going to keep it real because for those that watch Status Coup, I say follow the money. Follow the money. The bottom line is people must be scratching their heads. That caller must be scratching their heads. Some people who are reporters, they just don't understand. Why would Biden commit political suicide for Israel? Why is Biden willing to lose the presidency for Israel? Is he that much of a Zionist? What is he thinking? Well, I could show you what his biggest donors are thinking. I could show you that one of his biggest donors and fundraisers is Haim Sabin. His net worth is $3 billion. Biden just did multiple fundraisers in California about a month or two ago at Haim Sabin's home. Haim Sabin, who again is worth $3 billion, is one of the biggest donors to the Democratic Party, period. He was one of the biggest donors to Hillary Clinton. He was one of the biggest donors to Bill Clinton. He was one of the biggest donors to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, name your Democrat. Thank you, new Status Coup member, Reda just signed up. Thank you, Reda, new member. Keep them coming. I will shout you out. Haim Saban in 2018, a much smaller issue then between Israel and Gaza. But during fighting between Israel and Gaza, then Haim Saban wrote a letter to Democratic politicians, slapping them on the Democratic politicians he donated to and purchased, slapping and scolding them for criticizing Israel's attacks on Gaza then. So Joe Biden raising a lot of money from Haim Saban, doing fundraisers at his house. Haim Saban, massive Zionist, believes Israel could do no wrong. Jeffrey Katzenberg, former CEO of DreamWorks Animation, just happened to give $20 million to my old company, the Young Turks, my old employer, the Young Turks. Just happened to give them $20 million as an investor. No big deal. Jeffrey Katzenberg, worth $900 million. He is a co-chair of Biden's campaign. Major Zionist. Seeing a pattern here? I mean, you could say, well, Jordan, you're saying the Jews have money. No, I'm saying these Jews have the money. And a lot of the biggest donors that are funding, not just Joe Biden, but the Democratic Party happen to be Jewish and happen to be major Zionists. Remember Trump, which we'll get to him saying he'll vote for Trump. Trump moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Do you think it's because Trump was so moved by Benjamin Netanyahu and other Zionist argument that the U.S. embassy belongs in the Jewish homeland in the capital, Jerusalem? No. Sheldon Adelson, who was one of, if not the biggest donor to the Republican Party for decades, was a massive Zionist and gave Trump $30 million. Let me repeat, gave Trump $30 million. Oh, yeah, I'll move the embassy. That's why Trump moved the embassy. Not for any other reason other than Adelson and that money. So a big reason that Biden is not doing anything other than, leaking to the media. All these media stories we've seen over the last few months. Oh, Biden's getting angrier with Netanyahu. Oh, so angry he's not doing anything. He's not changing anything. Biden's getting so angry with Netanyahu, he might pull funding. That hasn't happening. Biden's so angry with Netanyahu, he's drawing a red line. So much so that after Israel attacked and missiled an Iranian consulate in Syria, so they started it. In this instance, Biden and his circle rally around Israel after Iran responds. Lastly, listen, I'm a journalist. I always say it's not my place to tell anyone who to vote for. You can vote for whoever you want. You can vote Democrat. You can vote Republican. You can vote third party. You don't vote. It's up to you. I will say, I understand the anger. I understand the just wanting to stick it to Joe Biden and the Democrats and thinking voting for Trump is doing that. I understand the feeling of, well, I respect Trump more because at least he's open about the fact that he's going to screw me while the Democrats pretend to want to be there for me. I understand all that. I'm not taking it away from you. And at the end of the day, if you want to vote for Trump, that's what you should do. I will say there is factually no scenario where Donald Trump is any better than a Democrat, Biden or anyone else, on Israel, on Palestinians. That ain't it. And I also don't think by voting for Trump, you're doing anything in terms of maybe the Democrats and maybe Biden will get it if we vote Trump in. They voted Trump in 2016 over Hillary. Instead of getting it, instead of moving to the left, instead of the Democratic Party realizing like, oh shit, maybe we need to actually do things for working people. Oh shit, maybe we need to stop spending all our money all over the world rather than in America. Maybe we need to actually spend money in America on healthcare, on poverty, on education, on homelessness, on climate. They move to the right, the Democratic Party, and just blame Russia. So if you think voting for Trump is going to stick it to the Democratic Party, if you think Joe Biden at age 81 is going to learn a goddamn thing if he loses and you vote for Trump, sorry to tell you, that ain't it. You can do whatever you want. It's not for me to tell you who to vote for. But that's not going to happen. And by the way, somebody just said, but under Trump, there was no war. I mean, that's easy to say, but it's not exactly accurate either. Remember, Trump took out an Iranian general, Soleimani. Trump, a lot of people forget this, Trump arms Ukraine. Trump gave weapons to Ukraine. Obama did not. I got to credit Obama where credit is due. Obama refused to give weapons to Ukraine. Trump gave him weapons. Trump also attempted a coup in Venezuela to oust Maduro. You might have forgotten that. A failed coup, but he attempted that. Trump bombed Syria, I believe, twice. So Trump is not some anti-war figure. He is not. Trump did not end the war in Afghanistan. Biden did. It's one of the few things I give Biden credit for. So people kind of get delusional, I believe, or have selective memory. Trump is not some anti-war. He just didn't escalate a whole new war. That's two separate things. Now, also, this notion, if Trump were president when October 7th happened, I actually think it would be the same, if not worse, because I don't think Trump would give a damn about humanitarian aid getting into Gaza. Obviously, Biden and America have not done enough for that to happen. I think Trump would be just as bad, if not worse. I also think I think he sees Gaza as a business opportunity. There's a lot of natural resources there. Take it from Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, who said, oh, we could have some great beachfront property in Gaza. So if you think Trump is going to try and protect the Palestinians in Gaza or safeguard Gaza for the Palestinian people, I got a bridge to sell you. I also do not think Trump, I don't particularly think Trump cares that much about brown people. Neither does Biden. I don't think Trump is ideologically like a Zionist and super duper pro-Israel, but I think Trump is super duper pro-Trump. So Trump would do what's in Trump's interest, and I think Trump would see in his interest supporting Israel and getting rid of as many Palestinians out of there as possible and just blaming it on Hamas, which he's already done. Trump at his rallies has said Biden hasn't gone far enough to support Israel. So to me, the answer is not vote for Trump as a stick it to Biden. If you are angry, if you are a Palestinian and you are angry, to me, I wouldn't vote for either of them. There's other options. There's Jill Stein. There's Cornel West. RFK is just as Zionist, so I wouldn't vote for him either. But the answer, I'm not telling you vote for Biden. I'm just saying you're not sticking it to Biden by voting for Trump. It might feel that way, but you're not. Because the Democratic Party, if enough angry Arabs or Palestinians or Muslims vote for Trump to get Biden out there, you're not teaching Biden a lesson. You're not teaching the Democratic Party a lesson. We've already been there, done that in 2016. The message they got when a used car salesman, orange orangutan, beat Hillary Clinton was, let's move to the right and blame Russia. So I respect whatever you end up doing. It's your vote. Do whatever you want. But to me, voting for Trump is not the answer. Let me take another caller. But to repeat, I'm live on Sunday taking your calls so we could continue reporting on the ground. We got a Flint documentary coming out at the end of this month on the 10-year anniversary. I'm going to play the trailer to that in a little bit. I'm also going back to Flint for that 10-year anniversary on April 25th. I believe I'm going to be going to East Palestine on the same trip. All of this costs money for myself, a cameraman, flights, hotels, rent a car, food. The documentary, I'm paying Ty to make the documentary. We are pretty much the only outlet that is continually out there on the ground, and it costs a lot of money. So there's plenty of people asking you for money that are sitting on their asses, bloviating on bullshit. We're actually out there. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the talk. So please support us if you can, either with a donation, statuscoup.com/donate, or you could sign up as a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. It makes a big, big difference. Let me take another call. Eric. You there, Eric?
Hello.
Hey there.
Yes, I am here. I am here.
Hey there.
I'm here. You hear me?
I can.
Hello, you hear me? You hear me?
I hear you.
How's it going?
Hey.
Oh, sorry, there's a delay. I have the TV going on right here in the background. Sorry. Let me
Yeah, can
turn
you
it down for
can
a
you turn
second.
that down, because I hear myself as an echo.
Yeah, hold on. Give me a second. Yeah, I got you right now. Hold on. Yeah, so hold on. All right, is it down? Yeah, I'm sure
Yes.
it's good.
Yes.
All right, so how's it going? Can you hear me now? Better? Clear? Everyone can hear me clear?
Hear you loud and clear.
All right. Yeah, basically, long story short, what I have to just talk about is I just want to touch in on, first of all, I just want to say thank you, Status Coup, for the work that you guys do. You guys really are like, you know, like everybody's been saying in the comments, like the previous caller said, you know, you guys, as you've been saying the whole time, you guys really, you know, put the boots to the ground and make sure that people, you know, get the message out. I mean, that you're making sure that, you know, the community and everybody that's just around the American people and people all around the world can see what's actually going on. Like, I've actually been watching your recent stuff that's been going on in that town down in Virginia, I think it is, in West Virginia.
Yeah.
Your little piece you've been doing about the whole water crisis. You know, it just had me thinking about Flint and just thinking about how, like, you know, what we talk about all the time, like what you say, you know, follow the money. And, you know, it's unfortunate that, you know, all the money seems to be going to like a couple of handful of people, you know, and it's like these people, you know, we talk about, you know, politicians and the government, but at the same time, it's like there's, you know, there's rich families that aren't politicians that, you know, control a large amount of wealth that they can, you know, help distribute things around, you know, whatnot. But I don't really want to talk about that. But what I wanted to touch on was basically the voting, and we were talking about like Trump, we were talking about Biden, and basically, long story short, everyone's talking about the two parties in the chat, and you just see everybody being like, oh, you know, oh, the Democrats doing this for us, but oh, I want to, like you said, sticking it to the man. Let me vote for Trump because like it'll be a total like stick it to the man situation if, you know, he wins, and like the Democrats would be upset. But like what you were just saying towards the end, and I was hoping you were going to touch on that, and you just did when we were talking about sorry, I have a rescue. We rescue animals, so I have a dog right now. She's she hears me talking on the phone and she sees that I'm, you know, getting excited basically. But long story short, like I said, so Trump, like we said, we were talking about the two parties, and you mentioned it right before, you know, you answer my call. We got another party, the third party, and basically, long story short, the third party is, like you said, one of the candidates could be someone like Dr. Cornel West. That guy there, he's a fucking straight G. That guy there, he's a philosopher, he's a fucking professor. You know, he's a person of color, and that's something that I also appreciate. Something that you do as someone that's you know, that's a Jewish person, and I think that, you know, it's really cool that you can, you know, shed light on, you know, and bring light to, you know, things, you know, issues that are, you know, happening amongst, in, you know, in the, you know, in the color community. But long story short, like I said, people like Cornel West, you know, that guy there, he calls everybody his brother. You got the people on the right who are like, oh, I hate that guy Cornel West. Why is he calling everybody his brother? People, you got Democrats being like, oh, I hate that guy fucking Cornel West. Why is he calling Republicans his brother? And that's the man that you guys should be looking at. That guy there is fucking stirring up both parties. He got everybody on their fucking heels. And at the end of the day, I don't want to get into too much of his policies because his policy is going to depth. Oh, someone said, please tell the dog hi. Thank you. Hello. She says hi. Well, like I said, people, like I said, someone like Cornel West would definitely stir up politics in our country. And it's definitely something, a breath of fresh air that I think that we all should, like, you know, pay attention to, and something that we need. It's not like an Obama change that everybody's talking about. It's not just a black guy for that the government, you know, put in to silence the people of color. No, someone like Cornel West, if, like I said, he's a philosopher, he's a professor. The guy, he taught at Cornell University. You know what I'm saying? This guy is not just like you're a random like schluck guy. Like he is, like he's written many books. Like I said, I don't want to preach about him, but that's voting. But long story short, too, also just on the side note, for everybody else in the comments too, because like I've been engaging with people in the comments. Long story short, this is what it comes down to. At the end of the day, everything that we talk about here and everything that we think about and everything that goes on in life, what it really comes down to, what it boils down to, is the power of will. If we don't have backbone and we don't have the willpower to do something better and something more than what the fuck that we do in our daily lives, excuse my language, guys, if we don't do something better than what we do in our daily lives, I'm talking about power of will in the sense of like, if you're willing to walk by the houseless guy that's sitting there on the street with the sign like, hey, look, I need $1 to get some food. If you're not willing to sit there and understand why that guy is sitting there on the street, that guy could be your brother. That guy could be cool. He could just be a random guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, but at the end of the day, like, if you're not willing to step outside your comfort zone and figure out what's going on with the person that's right there in your community, that's the guy you walk by every day when you go buy your $10 bagel at Black Sea Bagel. But at the end of the day, you still could just go get that guy a little pocket change and, you know, or go buy him a bagel if you think he's going to go buy drugs or whatever the case is when you buy alcohol. How about you go stop and actually like strike up a conversation with the guy and see what he needs? And that's the issue right there in a lot of people's communities, that we have these politicians going around, you know, with policies and, you know, all throwing around all the big words to try to woo us and whatever to get us to vote for them. But at the end of the day, we don't have people actually like what you're doing, going on the ground and putting the boots to the ground and actually finding out what the people need and actually what we, you know, what can help people. And basically, you know, I don't want to take too much time, but long story short, yeah, no, that was basically it, you know?
Yeah, and to be honest
I
with
just
you,
think, yeah, you know,
what I do, not that I'm something so special, but it's really always been very shocking and frustrating to me. Everywhere I go, I mean, pretty much everywhere I go, there's no other reporters there. And when I ask residents, when I ask activists, whether it's water issues, whether it's you know, union campaigns, whether it's worker strikes, they'll tell me, other than you, no national reporters have been here. No local reporters have been here. I mean, hell, I've been going to Flint since 2016. I've been there 20 times. Most of the times I go there now, when I'm covering events, even the local media isn't there. And there's a few reasons. Number one, most reporters are really just in this to grow their Twitter followers, grow their fame, win awards, and you know, get attention for themselves. Most journalists I know, there's some good that really want to make a difference, but other ones are just in this to kind of, you know, climb the ladder. In many cases, the corporate ladder at like places like NBC News and, you know, win prestigious awards. They're political nerds who just want to cover the bullshit political horse race every day. You know, who's up, Trump, Biden, who's down, Republicans or Democrats. They're not interested in like people being poisoned in Flint or East Palestine or West Virginia. They're not interested in poverty. They're not interested in local corruption. And you know who else is not interested? YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, because they changed their algorithms to bury real reporting. I mean, fuck. I was just in West Virginia covering the worst, most gross, weird shit that you could see in water. There was green fungus growing in the water down there. There's white stringy shit growing in the water down there. It smells like shit. And I was going live to 200 people because YouTube won't share it. YouTube won't recommend it. So I think what you're saying is very accurate in terms of there's very few reporters actually in the trenches covering what I call the controlled demolition of the working class, or covering the United Corporations of America. And we cover stories that we know are not
Brother,
sexy. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, no, I just want to add on to what you were saying real quick about the whole media and the covering and what people care about. Listen, I think what you're saying is 25% of the truth for the most part, in the sense of like, I think that the status quo of what people think, you know, what you should be covering to get to the top is what you're saying, what people are caring about more or less. Are sensationalized news topics that like are going to do shock factors before actual like, you know, helping people. And like the issue is that we keep associating the word helping people with like, not in the sense of like a charity, but with the sense of like it's going to like hurt you more to help someone than to actually, because at the end of the day, you are doing great pieces, I think, that are actually helping people. And, you know, there are a couple of people, I don't want to name drop people, but there are a couple of people, you know, who do some reporting, I feel, out there, not like groundwork, maybe they do some, you know, in depth, like from behind the scenes, you know, because everybody aren't, you know, that, you know, everybody isn't a field person. Everybody isn't a, you know, a people person that can sit here and take a call with someone and, you know, discuss raw topics with someone. There's people who like analytics. There are people who are just like, yo, listen, I can sit there and crunch numbers and read the facts and read a book. I've read a million books and it can tell you the whole history, exactly what we said about Palestine from the first Intifada, you know, and all of that. But my whole point is like, like that, you know, everybody's not on that you know, that wave. But at the same time, what I, like I said, agree with you, and what I like that you do, and like I said, that is unfortunate that a lot of other people don't do, is, for instance, like when Occupy Wall Street was out, you know, there were a lot of people who were like, you know, trying to come up, and, you know, there were a lot of activists who were quote unquote activists who were out, you know, from the quote unquote community, who were out trying to, you know, document the thing, going out to Philly, going out, you know, to Chicago, going out to all the rallies, you know, Occupy Wall Street and all that during the George Floyd movement and all that stuff, and the, you know, the start of the BLM stuff. But like you said, I feel there was a point in time where people are like, hey, listen, this is all cool and shit. I went out and got that BLM footage, but, you know, when the cops went and beat the black people up, you know, the comments were going more crazy for you to get the guy's face all bloody than for you to actually document the police, and actually they're like, oh, we don't want to see you guys documenting the people crying about, you know, the struggle. Like, we want to see the police bashing people's skulls in.
Right.
So like, and, you know, and that just goes to like show like where people are at in society too, and how sick we are as a people too, low key, which is insane that we much, and, you know, I'm honestly battling people right now on like Instagram. There's this page, I'm from New York, just like the other guy, I'm assuming. There's a guy that's on this some weird New York page, just like New York, you know, shitty or something like that. Basically, it seems like it's like a right wing run page that's basically trying to, like, you know, it's like a propaganda page almost, like trying to make it seem like it's a New Yorker thing, but it's like not a New York thing. It's clearly just like showing New York situations and glorifying them to get like sensationalize them. So like, you know, maybe like there was like a slashing that happened. They'll like, you know, show the video of the slashing that happened and just let the comments go. No background, no context, no nothing. Not you're not gonna be like, oh, was there like someone try to defend someone there? You know, never anything. They just let the comments go, and it just always is like some guy being like, oh, New York is all unsafe and all this and all this. But you ask the guys, you're like, where are you from? And they're like, I'm from Kansas. But it's like, have you ever been in New York? Do you know anyone from New York? Have you actually even tried to even walk the streets of New York and see if anything will actually even happen to you just before you even open your mouth and write this comment? You missed a guy with your blue check mark because you paid for it. You get what I'm saying? It's like, that is all like the issue too now, is it's just technology has advanced, and it's allowed everyone to pick up a camera, people like you, people like me, anyone, for instance. We could just pick up a camera and go and just have words. And yes, that's the beauty of America, freedom of speech, you know, First Amendment right. You know, that's the beauty of this country. But at the same time, we also do have to humble ourselves, I feel, and reel ourselves back in as a people and be like, listen, guys, each one teach one. And at the end of the day, if we're not learning from the next, then what the fuck are we doing? Listen, if we all knew it all, then we all would be professors and be getting paid the big bucks, and we would be writing books and we won't have to talk to nobody. We wouldn't be sitting here listening to me and you speak right now and trying to figure it out. That's the whole point. We don't know anything, and it's okay to realize that we're human and we're at the bottom of the food chain. But at the end of the day, also us being human, we have a brain which allows us to feel like that we could be above the food chain, because we have things like guns, we have things like whatever medicine, modern medicine. So we feel that we've got it down packed. We have governments, but at the end of the day, we don't have nothing. We look at our country, the United States. How the fuck are we one of the supposed biggest superpower? But look at our poverty rate amongst blacks and white people, all people. Right. Like you said, you just went down to Virginia. You see those people living down there. The shit is insane.
It really is.
Me and my partner, we got property upstate New York. Like it's insane. It's insane up there. You just go 3 hours away. You got to see it up there. It's insane up there, and that's 3 hours away from the city, the big city. And like you said, we have the same politics, the same, you know, riffraff with Hochul and the whole, you know, people just kind of like, you know, I don't know. It's just all I got to say, like I said, is just that, you know, we just got to just lay off of each other. We got to give each other a hug. I said this in the comments earlier, and we just got to, you know, just hold tight, and we have to fight for what's right. And war is not the answer, as Marvin Gaye said. And we just, continue the good fight. And that's it, guys. That's Absolutely. Really it. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. We can't let them make us feel voting for Trump is the answer because it'll stick it to the man of the Democrats. No, guys, you can't just do things like that. You have to make a rational decision with your life. Remember, have the willpower to think, to go out and open up a book, to want to know more. You have to sit there and want to strike the conversation up with the person that you claim to be as your enemy. You can't sit there and just let people choose your own destiny. That's the whole point of it, why it's your own destiny. You have to make it work. If you don't want it to make it work, if you don't want to be cool with your neighbor, if you think that he plays loud music, you don't like it, have you ever went across the street and instead of calling the cops on your neighbor, have you ever did that? You ever went across the street and tried to, you know, hey guy, I have a kid next door. You know, he likes to go to bed at 8 o'clock. Do you mind, you know, at 8 o'clock on the weekday, can you turn down your music instead of calling the cops on the guy next door? And then just having the cops come to his house and stirring up the whole thing. He has kids too. How you know he's not playing music right now to make his kid go to sleep? So maybe there was a whole misunderstanding that basically could have been solved by just having a simple conversation, but instead we want to go to war.
Yeah. You make a lot of good points,
And
man.
that's just on a people level, which will that's on a people level, which is what, if we talk about government, the government needs people to govern. So if the people were on their shit and understand how the government worked, then the government would not work if we didn't let them govern it the way they did. Because we are the people, as the Constitution says, right? Supposedly, like that, the people like to shout all day. We are the people, the Constitution is. So my whole point is, we the people, when we have the power, then we supposed to do what? Not fight each other. What the hell has fighting ever got anyone but a black eye and a hurt hand?
Yeah. Thanks, man. I got to go to the next person, but I really appreciate it.
I love you, man. You have a good one. I appreciate you.
You too.
And I love everyone in the comments too. Y'all stop fighting.
Take care.
All right.
Great calls, man. Great calls today. Got a couple more. And thank you. Keep those donations coming. We just got another one from Diane, just donated $20. So thank you, Diane. We got Yuki, $100. Anas, $5. Elisa, $10. Thomas, $20. Diane, $20. Ken just donated $20. Keep them coming. Also got 2 new Status Coup members to our website. So Charles signed up. Jillian signed up. Thank you so much. Like I said, if you say to me, Jordan, what do you want? You want a donation or me to sign up as a Status Coup member? Sign up as a member, because that's continual. That's a monthly membership, helps us with stable money coming in every month. StatusCoup.com/join. You could sign up as a member for as low as a burnt grande cup of Starbucks coffee at $5 to $10 a month. So that's StatusCoup.com/join. $5 a month equals 16 cents a day. $5 a month equals 16 cents a day. $10 a month is 33 cents a day. Obviously, if you don't have extra income to sign up, that's totally fine. But if you do, that is how we grow for the long term, because we have zero dollars coming from corporate America, from the plutocrats buying off the Democratic or Republican Party, from Silicon Valley, from Big Pharma, from the fossil fuckers. Our money comes from you, the viewers. And it's very hard to fund real on-the-ground reporting. It's very expensive. That's why I'm live on a Sunday. That's why we're always pushing for folks to sign up as members or to donate. StatusCoup.com/donate. Let me take the next caller. I don't know your name, but I see maybe Nadia. Is that your name?
Hello?
Hey there. Can you hear me?
It's
hey.
Nadia again.
Hey there.
I hear you.
What's going on?
So, yeah, I was just going to mention that the I think Democrats are like throwing the 2024 election because like they pretty much are wide aware of what they're or well aware of what their constituency wants, and they're doing the best they can to defy it.
Mm-hmm.
And so and obviously, they do their best to shift everything to the right as far as possible. Keep that the left end of the Overton window moving to the right as fast as possible. And
well, I think honestly, the Democrats think the Democrats think that since Trump won in 2016, they have basically won most elections. They won the 2018 midterms and retook the House. Obviously, they won the 2020 election. They won in 2022. So I think that they believe that just running on Trump bad, Trump fascist, just running on abortion, which obviously matters. I'm not saying it doesn't. But just basically, I think they believe that they could overcome the blank check that Biden is giving to Israel to commit genocide. They could overcome the inflation, even though it's not 100% Biden's fault. I do believe he has not taken simple steps he could have. I think they believe they could overcome Biden abandoning his promises on a minimum wage, on public option, on ending drilling on public lands, there's a lot of things he promised that he has abandoned because they really believe in the power of Trump. But I honestly, based on the polling I read earlier, I don't think but Trump's enough. I mean, unless Trump is convicted, I don't really think the Stormy Daniels trial matters that much because, I mean, whatever, he had an affair and
Yeah,
paid a
but
porn star.
Mm.
But if he's
Yeah.
convicted on like the January 6th thing before the election, that might matter. But at this point, I don't even know if that's going to happen before the election. So I just think the but Trump strategy is not enough because the Democrats and Biden have pushed away millions of young voters, independent voters, Arab Americans, and a lot of just voters, period, with what they're doing, particularly with Israel.
And people were furious from like day one because like the $2,000 checks came back only 1,400, right?
Right.
So,
exactly.
And people, everyone was enraged, just pissed, and it didn't get any better from there. You know, the child tax credit ended, and so on and so forth. So I mean, just and of course, you know, they sat on their hands while the Supreme Court got rid of abortion. You know,
Yep.
I mean, they had 50 years. Jimmy Carter, of course, with his majorities, did not touch the issue, and neither did anyone else along the way. And you know, with advance notice of the decision, they still did nothing.
Right.
So I mean, it was they've gone out of their way to just fuck their base, and I think they it's not going to be good for those who will be badly affected by the right wing, like LGBT people or Muslims who will get deported or whatever, and so on. It's
I mean, as angry
ugly.
as angry as people are right now, and I don't blame them, it's going to be pretty bad under Trump. And I'm not, you know, again, it's people can vote however they want, but Trump is, I think Trump is Biden, only more in your face about it, with probably worse as far as the climate and other things. But at the end of the day, it's on Biden to convince people, and it's on Biden to not alienate so many voters. And you can't ask, I mean, you cannot ask Arab Americans to say, but Trump is worse. Well, if your whole family is being killed, or 5 to 10 or 15 of your family members have been killed in Gaza, but Trump is not going to have an effect because death is final. I mean, you can't bring those people back, and you can't say Trump is worse if their family has been killed under Biden's support of this. So I just don't think the but Trump works.
The next step is like who's playing Weekend at Bernie's with the corpses on display here,
right?
And you know, the theocratic fascists are kind of a different ballgame from the neoconservative neoliberals puppeteering Biden, right?
Yeah.
And the theocratic fascists, well, I don't think they're very shy about, you know, bringing out the army to put down demonstrations or anything else that might pop up. And of course, they are probably eager, if not ready, to, well, just throw LGBT people into prison en masse and so on, if not worse.
Right.
So yeah, it's not looking good. And if I can't get out of the country, well, I'm just gonna make sure I can't be taken alive. So
absolutely,
that's the main thing. There. Absolutely.
Thank you for calling. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a good day.
Too. And remember, folks, really appreciate it if you could donate. We have about 6 or 7 donations so far. I'd love to get more before we sign off for the day. I'm also going to play a trailer for our upcoming Flint documentary. So definitely excited for that. Let me take the next caller. Richard, I think your name is? Or Sean?
Hey, can you hear me?
Hey there.
Yeah. How's it going?
Hey.
I was just listening in and hearing some of the other commenters and callers and you, and I'd say that, like, at this point in time, I think Biden has pretty much lost the election. But I think you're right about Trump. I think voting for Trump is not going to actually accomplish anything. But at the end of the day, I honestly do not see a way out of this situation without us kind of pretty much getting rid of the Democratic Party, because of the fact that, like, the Democrats, as they are now, they don't care about the public. You know what I mean? We have no ability to rein in Joe Biden or the war machine. We have no ability to rein in Wall Street. We have no ability to, get like literally any type of legislation passed that is effectively going to make a real difference for climate or anything of actual significance. And there's definitely no way of us, fixing the Supreme Court. So continuing to vote Democrat is like constantly hitting pause when the entire, the world is burning. And I think that the only way out is to effectively leave the Democratic Party to destroy to be destroyed, because because we need another option. We need another option, and we need it in an engaged citizenry, and we don't have that as long as people think that the stuff that's going on in front of us is just normal. You know what I mean? Like what Joe Biden is doing is just normal. What Donald Trump is just doing is normal. And a lot of that normality, or the perception of normality that comes from this, horrific group of people, is presented by, the corporate media and giving these people a false foundation. But you see it more and more. I mean, one of the major reasons that they wanted to ban TikTok was because of the fact that TikTok was reaching people about subject matters and topics that the ruling class did not want people talking about. You know what I mean? There are some great educational videos on Palestine on TikTok. I've been going on TikTok recently. I don't get any more pro-Palestine videos on my feed. And I think they're doing that because of the fact that, they were threatened by the government. But just to kind of reiterate this is that, I think the Democratic Party needs to die because of the fact that as long as people have the illusion or the delusion that the Democrats are fighting for them, they are going to waste potential energy on the Democratic Party. The only problem is that it is literally accepting complete and overall Republican rule until the population itself begins to revolt against the Republican Party through the population itself, in a way that can actually change the system and then retake the system from the hands of, fascists. But and this is the hard part about it is, even with the Democrats, you still have fascism. You still have people, Joe Biden, who is, persecuting Julian Assange. You still have the Democrats who are trying to legislate away freedom of speech. You still have the Pfizer Act, which allows the American government to spy on Americans without a warrant. Right now, we're living in fascism. It's just light fascism. And the worst part about it is, once the fascism comes for you under the Democratic Party, CNN won't cover it. MSNBC won't cover it. I'm sure you'll cover it. But that is what we're kind of looking at. And to me, it seems like we're looking at the barrel of a gun right now. And the inaction of not taking an action is probably the most dangerous thing that we could do, because of the fact that time that we're wasting on, oh my God, should we just keep trying to, do the Democrat thing? That inaction is time that we could be spent actually building a base and building information and building groups of people who are willing to actually start fighting against the corporate duopoly. Because until that is dealt with, until the American public are willing to deal with the government and say, no, it is my responsibility to ensure that Wall Street isn't horrible. It is my responsibility to ensure that the United States government, my tax dollars, aren't supporting a genocide. It is my responsibility to ensure that there is not homelessness or children starving. Until that becomes felt on a personal level, which I guarantee the Republicans will do if they get a supermajority. Until that's felt on a personal level, I don't see any way out of the system at all. Because people right now are just too comfortable. And we have these little worlds of reality that we have through our black screens every day. But the truth is that even if you're talking on Twitter, even if you're doing all of that, I think the system is just using these social media platforms as a way to make us feel like we have a voice without actually having a voice. Even if you reach 1,000 people or 10,000 people, a lot of the times you're not actually going to be effectively able to organize anything, because of the fact that the level of information and the level of ability to communicate is so sparsed out that it just feels like we're in our own echo chambers or limited echo chambers. And at the end of the day, that itself is not going to accomplish anything. Hopefully that makes sense. But those are my thoughts on the whole election and and Trump and Biden, because this is just looking so horrible. I mean, we're watching a genocide in real time, and like going on Twitter is like watching modern day Nazis in real time. And the Democrats are just like, yeah, we're going to do this. You know what I mean? The MSNBC, CNN, Fox News are just completely pro-Israel. And they don't, none of these people care about human life, human decency. And these are the people leading the country. Like, this is not going to end well for anybody. You know what I mean? And so for me, it's just that, like, abandoning ship to one degree or another sooner rather than later makes the most sense to me, because of the fact these people are quite literally sociopaths. They have no human foundation, and this is the world we're living in. And I think that, at one point in time or another, people are going to have to stand up and say enough. And like, I'm not scared of the Republicans. You know what I mean? It might be hard, but like, I think, we're stronger together. And I would much rather have my life harder than limit my life or put my life in the hands of a dictator or a fascist or authoritarian, which is the only options that we have currently. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, to me, the main issue, because I think it's easy to say if we just get rid of the Democratic Party, that will help move us to where we want to go. The main issue is not the Democratic Party. The main issue is our government in totality is a system of legalized bribery. If you don't remove the money and politics, if you don't remove money from politics, okay, get rid of the Democratic Party. Maybe we get a different party in, but the incentive structure for corruption is still there. The incentive structure for complacency is still there. I'm all for getting rid of the Democratic Party, but the root issue is money. I mean, look at most of these politicians that will do anything for Israel. Is it because they're super duper Zionist? I'm talking about both parties. Is it because they're super duper Zionists, or is it because they've been purchased by AIPAC and other pro-Israel groups? I could go down the list, from the fossil fuel industry to the pharmaceutical industry, climate, tech. They're all purchased. I don't know who it was, but there was maybe it was 60 Minutes, which is shocking. Years ago, 60 Minutes did a piece that showed Congress people 75% of their time, both parties, 75% of their time is spent off campus in a office building dialing for dollars. So that's like across the board. That's not just Democrats. I agree. I mean, we know the Republicans are awful, and I understand what you mean. Like, we can't fight the Republicans with a fake progressive party. But the root of all the problems in this country, it's not like it's not like corruption just started 50 years ago. We've always had corruption. With that said, there was, starting in the 1970s, considerable changes in laws that loosened the regulations on how much corporations and wealthy people could donate to politicians. The Supreme Court passed something, Buckley versus Valeo, that basically deregulated money in politics. This is long before Citizens United. Then you had Reagan and the deregulation, and the floodgates opened. So getting rid of the Democratic Party is just one piece of the puzzle. In my view, we need, and I don't know the complete answer, but we need to dramatically weaken and strip money in politics. And you do that a few ways. Number one, which is the hardest, I think, we need term limits. If politicians know that they cannot be in the Senate for 50 years, that they cannot be in Congress for, 40 years, that they cannot be in the Supreme Court for lifetime terms, then you might have people actually, you'd probably have less people wanting to run, because most of them aren't doing it to actually help the people. They're doing it for their narcissistic need for power and acceptance. But we need term limits. I also think you need hard caps on the amount that politicians could raise from donors, corporations. I think we need public financing of campaigns. You need to remove the incentive structure to sell out, basically. Because, and by the way, don't think it doesn't affect the quote unquote progressive politicians, because the AOCs of the world and the squad, maybe they're not directly taking certain money from corporations or special interests, but they're also not going all the way. In part, I think they're not going all the way and fulfilling the promises and the style they said they were going to run on. Remember, they said they were going to bring the ruckus to the Democratic Party because they're deathly afraid if they go, rabble rousing, and if they go, 100% balls to the wall, that they're going to be drowned out, by a flood of more super PACs and more entities coming after them, and they're going to lose. So to me, sure, get rid of the Democratic Party, but what are you going to do with the party that replaces it that maybe is slightly more to the left, but also purchased? I mean, everything. Big Pharma is purchasing, the lobbyists, the fossil fuel industry. Even at some point, you'll have climate lobbyists purchasing politicians, and in some cases, to do the wrong thing. Silicon Valley has purchased our government to basically not regulate it. I give you Google, which owns YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, so they could do whatever they want. They could change their algorithm whenever they want with no transparency. So to me, this is one of the reasons I was attracted to joining the Young Turks many years ago. Unfortunately, they've gone in a direction I don't agree with, but I believed with Cenk. To me, the fundamental political cause, is getting money out of politics because it's the root of all evil. And most of our problems stem from our government has been purchased. And that corruption has just been normalized in our media. The media reports on the money wars and how much money Biden is raising versus Trump from billionaires as if it's normal. It's not normal. We should not have a race to the bottom in terms of your best chance to win election and help the people is how much money you could raise from the wealthiest people in the country. That's not a democracy. That's an oligarchy. There's very little coverage in the media of policy, of poverty, of homelessness, which is up 12%. Was up 12% last year. I think it's actually up more than that. So, sorry, that was my long-winded answer. I say, yeah, get rid of the Democratic Party, but until we get rid of money, what you get is what you get.
Well, I mean, I would agree to some degree. It's just my thought process is that getting rid of the Democratic Party is the most viable option to people on the left right now. And getting rid of the Democratic Party and coming forward and saying, like, you guys are fake representation of what we want. You claimed all of this stuff. You never accomplished any of that. Would take the narrative back for the left to a point where the right would actually have to listen to the actual policy and the positions of the left political movement within this country, which they don't do because it's represented by the Democrats. So that would be one element. But the second element is destroying the Democratic Party has the effect of putting the Republicans in charge. And let me be honest, those people are insane. Like they literally don't know how horrible their ideas and their comprehensions are. It's like literally letting a bull loose in a china shop. That will inherently spawn the reaction of uproar from average Americans who begin to hate the Republican Party. And this is the thing, like during the civil rights movement, you know what I mean? It was MLK, it was the population who forced the people in charge, the people in power to kind of, submit. It was during the New Deal. It was the fact that people were starting to look at politicians like the parasites that they are. And I think that right now, this red-blue, and they're cults. The Democratic Party is the largest, most successful cult in the history of the world. Same thing with the Republicans. That's what they are. They're literally cults. Like, look into cults, how cults function, how cults work. That is, by definition, the entire structure of the Democrat and Republican parties. But the point that I'm saying is that as long as people look at this fake, it's wrestling. You know what I mean? This is Rock versus the Stone Cold Steve Austin that's constantly going in front of us. As long as Americans think that is an accurate representation of reality, they will never be able to see the accurate representation of reality. And so getting rid of the Democratic Party is one of the few things that people on the left functionally have an ability to do. And by putting Republicans in power or having Republicans take power, what you're going to see is such horrific and evil policies that the effect of that on the populace, I think, will have the biggest chance of waking people up enough to like completely destroy the system and then flooding people's offices with phone calls, with emails, with, to the point that you're going to have, potential protests even bigger than George Floyd or the Palestine protests. But until and this is the problem, as long as the system as we see it is considered normal and okay and acceptable, I don't see any change. And that includes like the corporate media. As long as we sit here and look at the status quo, sorry. I'm on your channel, obviously.
By the way, the name Status Coup, we created it to go against the status quo. So you're correct. Yes.
Yeah. And that's it. And it's because of this. And this is a topic I've been thinking about, kind of recently, but it's like people have narratives. What they expect to see, what they think is real, what they think is honest is what's going to dictate their behavior and their reaction to stuff. And the problem is that people don't realize not only how much they're being lied to, but how much they're being brainwashed, and how little of what they think the world really is actually is that. And so the only solution I have is like rip off the Band-Aid. You know what I mean? And so is that going to be good? Is that going to be the right path? If I'm going to be honest, it's the only potential path I see, because of the fact that, like, how are you going to get term limits to the most corrupt Congress in the world? You know what I mean? How are you going to get money out of politics and most greedy, like Congress, or the greediest people in the history of the world? Like, these people are narcissistic sociopaths. And at the end of the day, they ensure that everybody who goes into Congress is down with what they're doing, because we've seen it with AOC and the entire squad. All of them have lost every ounce of backbone that they had, that they talked about having, and now they're just doing lip service for Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and genocide. So, like, at the end of the day, if we're looking at the system from an objective viewpoint, I would say that, like, trying to work within the system is a pipe dream to my perception, because I don't see it happening. I wish it wasn't like this, but as far as I can tell, there is no viable or alternative open to the American public to actually change anything politically or policy related or law related. Like, we literally have no ability to do anything because of the fact these politicians are not beholden to us, and they never feel beholden to us. And so as long as that is the status quo, as long as that is the basis level of comprehension and the accepted level of understanding that the American public have, I don't think we're going anywhere. So the best option I can see is to kill one of the two parties, and I think killing the Democratic Party is a much easier alternative. And the Democrats have said, Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, we need a strong Republican Party. So they will shoot themselves in the foot, in the chest, or in the arm, or shoot whoever they need to ensure that the Republicans stay in power. The Republicans do not have that same issue with the Democrats, I promise you. So if we stab the Democratic Party in the back, I'm sure the Republicans will eat them alive. But again, it's a messy situation. It's the best thing that I've seen. It's the only option that I've seen. But I understand that it's a pretty scary option and idea. But yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man, and appreciate your work, and it is important. So thank you
very
much for everything you do.
Absolutely.
What's that? Yeah. Have a good one.
So I'm going to take one more caller and then play the Flint trailer. As a reminder, I'm live now for 2 hours on a Sunday to fundraise. We need to raise our funds to continue the on-the-ground reporting. If you came late, we have a documentary coming out on April 25th about the 10-year anniversary of the Flint water crisis. It is really, really good. I've just seen some of it. I'm really proud of it, but it costs money. Obviously, we're paying Ty to make the documentary. He's our former producer and cameraman, still a great friend of Status Coup. So we're paying him to do the documentary. It's based on my last Flint reporting trip, but there's other footage from other trips in it. So I'm also going back to Flint for the 10-year anniversary. That costs money. Do you know anyone else that stayed on the Flint water crisis, which is still happening? 10 years later, they still don't have clean water. 10 years later, no one is in prison. And it's not just about Flint. It's about all of us. Because if what they did to Flint, if they get away with it there, they're going to get away with it anywhere. I also am trying to go to East Palestine on the same trip. So please, if you can, statuscoup.com/donate. You could also support us by signing up as a Status Coup member. We've gotten 3 new members while I'm live. So thank you to those. That's statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for $5 to $10 a month. I'm going to take Aaron as the last caller of the day.
Hey, how you doing, Jordan?
Hey there.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, I watch the show from time to time. I just wanted to ask just a quick question about Biden's support on Israel.
Mhm.
Why do most of the MAGA voters think that if Trump's in office, that he's not really going to be a bigger supporter for Israel? And I just want a little education behind that, because I think Trump is going to go about 100 times harder to support Israel than Biden is.
I don't think most Trump supporters think Trump would be better or less supportive. I think they think he would be more supportive. And I think most Trump supporters have been convinced that Biden isn't supporting Israel enough. I think most Trump supporters think we should be supporting Israel is what I see. Maybe there's like a small portion of the MAGA base that like don't want to support any other country and, focus on America. But from what I see, I mean, most Republicans are super duper pro-Israel and yada, yada, yada. The ones that maybe you're talking about are hoodwinked by Trump's America First. We need to focus on America. So maybe that's why, but they are definitely being hoodwinked because, again, Trump moved the embassy, which no other American president did. He did it because Sheldon Adelson gave him $30 million. Trump did the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations for Israel. And what was that? The UAE, I think, or some one of those countries. And Trump has been criticizing Biden for not going further in support of Israel since October 7th. So if Trump was president, I think I think he would just say flatten Gaza and be done with it. I don't think he'd even pretend like Biden is pretending, to care about humanitarian aid. And so, yeah, if the MAGA base thinks that Trump is going to be better than Biden on Israel for Palestinians, they are very, 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 very wrong, just like they're wrong about many other things. I mean, Trump, it just came out that Trump wants to give another massive tax cut to billionaires. And his base thinks he's like,
that's not a surprise.
Yeah. So I think the traditional Republicans are very, very pro-Israel. I think most MAGA Republicans are probably pro-Israel from what I've seen. And the ones that aren't are pretty much isolationists who don't want us giving money to other countries, which I agree with. I just don't. I mean, a lot of people have selective amnesia and think Trump was like somehow anti-war. Remember, he said he was going to end the Afghanistan war. He did not end the Afghanistan war. He killed an Iranian commander, which could have launched World War III. He armed Ukraine. So although Biden's getting a lot of shit for the Ukraine-Russia war that he deserves, Trump also armed Ukraine. And I don't think Putin would have not invaded Ukraine if Trump was president, because Putin knows that Trump will do and say whatever Putin wants, not because Trump is quote unquote, a useful idiot for the Russians or on the Russian payroll, but because Trump's biggest customers for his real estate empire is Russian oligarchs. I've been saying this for 8 years. The media tried to concoct this whole Russian collusion thing. It's much simpler. Trump's real estate empire, the biggest money coming in flows from Russian oligarchs in Florida and other places. So of course he was going to kiss Putin's ass because he cares about his business. That's it. So yeah, that's my answer.
Okay. And then just another question. So I don't know if we may share the same beliefs here, but do you feel in the right that not Israel, but Iran has the right to defend themselves? Just in this matter, in this situation?
Yeah, I do. If you attack their consulate, I mean, what do you want them to do? Just give you a stern warning? I mean, sure, Hezbollah has been firing rockets into Israel since October 7th. Yeah. Hezbollah is funded by Iran. So you can say, well, Jordan, Iran has been attacking Israel through Hezbollah. You can say that. But at the end of the day, I mean, Israel just attacked their consulate and killed one of their biggest commanders. So if Iran does nothing, then Iran looks weak. So yeah, I mean, I can't condemn Iran for responding. And to me, it kind of came off as theater because, like, I mean, they were warning that they were going to do it, and then Israel had advance
Yeah.
notice that they had fired off these rockets, and that they weren't going to reach for like 6-7 hours. And obviously, Iran knew that Israel, through our funding, has the Iron Dome system to intercept them. So I feel like it was more like just to check the box, we retaliated. But Iran wasn't doing it in a way where they thought they could actually harm Israel, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. I mean, it seems like Israel's always, sleep at the wheel when we give them advance notice on attacks. But
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Iranian leadership is very corrupt, and they do horrible things to their citizens. But that doesn't mean, I don't buy into the propaganda from Lindsey Graham and the rest of them in Iran either.
That's my biggest issue, because it's where Israel's not only attacking Gaza, they've been into Lebanon, Syria.
Yeah. And by the way, like I said on CNN this morning, they made a big to-do. Oh, Iran violated international airspace in these attacks. They violated Jordanian and Saudi international airspace. Did Israel not violate international airspace by attacking the Iranian consulate in Syria? I guess Israel could do it, but Iran can't. So it's obviously like hypocrisy and a double standard.
And that was my next question, because that is a dangerous, precedent that we're allowing to happen. If we're pretty much making Iran to be the monsters, and Israel's pretty much, committed some of the same war crimes. I mean, it's been proven. We're pretty much going to get dragged down with this.
Yes.
And we can't sit here and say, oh, you know what? Let them duke it out. Whoever's going to win, we're just going to invite them to the table. We can't do that, especially with the long-term implications that are laid out here. So with this being said, is this, truly on the side of, if we allow this to happen, then anyone could feel like, genocides are normal now, in a sense. I'm not saying that it's right or anything of that nature, but what we're allowing, is this going to be, the new norm, I guess, in a sense.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a good point. But at the end of the day, the military-industrial complex exists by creating boogeymans, by creating perpetual threats and fear. I mean, Netanyahu's been saying since the 1990s, Iran is going to attack Israel and create World War III. So it's a dangerous game, though, because, if Israel escalates with Iran, and Biden, who seems to have a major blind spot for Israel, among other blind spots, I certainly don't want to get involved with Iran and then Russia and Syria, because that is World War III. So, we'll see. Thanks for calling, man.
Well, that's all the question I had. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for the calls today. Let me end the call in. I think we're going to do this more, bigger audience and more donations. Thank you. Christine just donated. So Christine, Ken, Diane, Thomas, Alisa, Anas, Yuki, all donated. Obviously, you could donate when I'm off. Before I go, as promised, let me play the trailer. And we're working on shortening this, but this is about 3 minutes. Let me play the trailer for our updating documentary on the Flint decade anniversary. Again, 10 years of the ongoing water crisis, because it's still a crisis. The water is still contaminated. No one is in prison. The residents are still sick. Flint has one of the highest cancer rates in the country now. And it ain't from the weather. It's from the water. Hopefully, watching this, you'll understand why it's so important to support us. Here we go. And this is based on my reporting on the ground in Flint.
What matters right now is this, that Flint River right there is still right there, okay? And those people that are victims of what was played on them are still victims. The 7,000 babies are still brain damaged, except now they're about 7 or 8 years old. It doesn't matter who got away with shit and who planned it and who let it happen. You fucked up. The fact of the matter is now. What do you do about it now? You left a lot of people dead and laying in the street, and you still got people dead and laying in the street. Excuse my French.
They told us we were disposable. That's what they told us, is that we are disposable people.
You think this will ever be fixed?
No.
Throat cancer, brain cancer, and stomach cancer is up 550%. Leukemia is up.
Did you just say it's up 550% in Flint?
Yes.
One of the most overlooked aspects of the water crisis is the role that Wall Street played in financing the project that ultimately preceded the water crisis. Flint is not allowed to borrow money because it's past its debt limit. One way that it could be allowed to borrow money would be to get in a consent order, create an emergency or find an emergency, something to that effect. So the fall of 2013, you can see these conversations happening. And again, they're being driven by outside lawyer, outside financial advisor. And then they start to say, okay, so what is an emergency we could use?
Not one person had to be accountable for their part that they played in poisoning Flint. Not only are we paying for water that we cannot drink, that we cannot cook with, that we cannot bathe with, but we paying a bond. Wall Street bond.
You have a black city with a black mayor, and it's 10 years, and our water's still the same.
Year 10 of the water crisis, and my 8th year of covering this. I first went to Flint in 2016, and I guess we should start from the beginning. 3, 2, 1.
What is happening here in Genesee County, and is this cancer crisis connected to the water switch? Newly released data from the health department reveals cancer rates here significantly higher than anywhere else in the state of Michigan.
It's the 10-year anniversary of the Flint water crisis, and it's not something from the past. Whew. Gives me chills. That is being produced by Ty Bayless. For you Status Coup OGers, Ty was our first cameraman, first producer, still a friend of Status Coup. He's doing really tough work because for any of you who ever worked on a documentary, normally you got 6 months to a year between shooting and then editing, producing, audio, everything. It takes a while to make a documentary. You usually have a crew working on it. I was there in March shooting this. So he's had basically less than a month to work on this. And it costs a lot of money. I mean, between the trip and paying him, obviously, we're paying him for the work. It costs a lot of money. And I'm really proud from what I've seen. It's not done yet, but so far I'm really proud of it. We kind of mixed it up to basically show both the basically what I want to get across, because I think people get numb to the word crisis. It's been said so many times, crisis, Flint water crisis, that I think it doesn't have a meaning anymore. People just they don't hear about it in the media anymore. So they just think it happened in the past and it's over. It's still a crisis. I saw that. I mean, I see that in every trip I've taken. I've been there 20 times. But just this last trip I took, it's stunning just what a disaster it still is. Disaster like you would think it just happened. Like the water was just switched. Like this is brand new. Like the water is still bad. People are really suffering still. Cancer rates are surging and the media are barely covering it. And the state is trying to cover it up and pretend it's not related to the water. No, it's just people are getting cancer everywhere in Flint. And frankly, the Attorney General, based on my reporting, sabotaged the criminal investigation. And I might have news on that soon. So we want to get across in this documentary, still a crisis. Still a crisis. And I need your help. I need your help, not only to keep going back to Flint, but to pay Ty and do further reporting. If you don't know, my book, my first book, is coming out at the end of this year on the Flint water cover-up. And I cannot wait. I really cannot wait for that. I wish it was coming out now, but, is what it is. I was, had to wait based on when it could be published. But that's coming out in August. I hope to have short excerpts released before August. But your support means the world. You could pre-order the book now. Let me show you the page if you want to pre-order. So this is the book, We the Poisoned, exposing. So you can get the full screen though. We the Poisoned, exposing the Flint water crisis cover-up and the poisoning of 100,000 Americans. I am fortunate enough that Erin Brockovich wrote the foreword of the book. She was incredible to do that for me. So that's coming out in August. And as humbly as I could say it, and the link to pre-order the book is in the description of this live stream, but I will also put it here. And thank you to those who already pre-ordered. I believe that my book is going to show the biggest government cover-up of the 21st century. Like I said, I wish it was coming out now. You could ask my wife. I've been working on this story for 8 years, but the book I've been working on, I started working on it right after my daughter was born. So during my parental leave or, paternity leave, I wasn't exactly resting. I was obviously spending time with my daughter and waking up as she was waking up every 2 hours, but I was also beginning to write the book. Of course, we're not forgetting Jackson, Mississippi. We've covered Jackson, Mississippi water crisis on the road. If it were up to me, I would be able to continually go back to all these places and stay on it, but it takes funding. I'd like to hire more reporters to cover water issues all over the country, but it takes funding. That's why I got statuscoup.com/donate up right there. That's why, if you ask me, Jordan, what's one thing you need? Sign up, statuscoup.com/join. This is how we grow for the long term. $5 to $10 a month. That's all I'm asking. $5 to $10 a month. Think about what you might spend $5 to $10 on a week. A latte from Starbucks, or a gourmet sandwich, or fill in the blank. $5 to $10 a month, or $5 to $10 a week that you might spend on that maybe you don't absolutely need. But I think we all absolutely need on the ground reporting that stays on things like the Flint water crisis. It's very, very, very important. So please order the book. I'm right now starting to put things in the works for when the book comes out in terms of events. I'm hoping to do an event with Erin Brockovich. I'm hoping to do an event with other people too. And please, I'm definitely going to be in Flint for the book. But I think the book, honestly, I would say a good 50% of the book is stuff that the public does not know. No one knows. Stuff I found out over the last couple months. So please sign up. And how can we get a signed copy? I'll be doing book events, and I'll think of other ways. I'll definitely think of other ways to sign as many books as I can. So let me read some super chats before I go. Thank you, Teresa, $20 super sticker. Really appreciate it. New YouTube member, new Status Coup YouTube member, Reda. Thank you so much. Jim, $3 super sticker. Thank you. Tony, $4.99. So protesters could only march in designated areas. What happened to freedom of assembly? If you haven't noticed, in the United Corporations of America, they kind of make up the laws as they go or change the laws on the fly. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch the video that's up from our protest that we just covered. John Farina just covered another ceasefire protest where the cops said, move to the sidewalk to protesters. And then when they did, the cops arrested them. So tricked them into moving to the sidewalk and then arrested them. And they roughed up a lot of protesters, including Muslim women, and ripped one woman's hijab off. So we have that footage. It's up. You could watch the live stream, and we have a shorter clip under the video section. Thank you, Solife, gifted a membership. Thank you so much. Anyone, if you're a member, you could also gift memberships too, which we really appreciate. Let me see if I missed anybody before I sign off. My daughter is waking up soon, so then I go to her. All right. Thank you to everyone who donated. Please, I take my glasses off. I beg you, looking into the mirror. If you want us to continue on the ground, because I literally cannot, funds are strapped. I'm being clear. Funds are strapped. Please donate any amount, statuscoup.com/donate, and or sign up as a Status Coup member at statuscoup.com/join. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your weekend.